Hey guys, I've seen a lot of posts recently on I've locked my keys in my top box, I've locked my keys in under my seat, how do I get the seat off without the key, how do I get my saddlebags open if I can't find the key, etc, etc, etc. I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to do it. You're just going to need $20 to $30 worth of tools. You can get them on Amazon. I'll put a link below to a set that I've had pretty good luck with. This also works for the ignition with a couple small additions and changes, but I'm not comfortable in detailing all of that on YouTube for what should be obvious reasons. But it is very, very easy to pick an ignition lock on most motorcycles. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to get into your fuel door, your saddlebags, your top case, your seat access, helmet locks. None of the locks on your motorcycle are high security. Plain and simple. They're all very, very low security, very easy to get into. The locks simply keep out the very casual thief. Anybody professional with a minimum of tools can simply get into any lock, simply start up any bike they want, believe me. Now, just for the sake of the video, because it's very easy to show, here is my fuel tank lock. This is a cylinder wafer lock. These are what are used on the vast majority of motorcycles out there and other various locks. They differ from padlocks or residential doors, things like that, in that they don't use pins. They use what are called wafers. Because it's a very compact cylindrical design, they needed to come up with a mechanism to actually prevent the cylinder from rotating that keeps it compact. A padlock is a rectangle in design because it uses springs and pins to prevent the cylinder from rotating. The wafers are simply little cylindrical pins. They go all around and they simply slide down a little bit and interfere with the cylinder inside and prevent it from rotating. When you put your key in, all these little bumps are just different levels, and the wafer interacts with each one, and when it's at the correct level, they are around the perimeter of the cylinder and allow it to rotate. And that's why you see this key has identical looking marks on either side. The wafers are only on one side, but the key has two, so you can put it in either way. So it's not like a freaking USB plug and you don't have to put the key in one way or the other. That's the other difference. If you notice your door key for home isn't double-sided, that's because the pins only go up one way, but the wafers here can interact with either side. So it's a nice compact design, and unfortunately, it also means it's very, very easy to pick. Now, for most motorcycle locks, these are the only two tools you need. This is a tension tool, and this simulates the torque of the key, so you can actually rotate the lock, rotate the cylinder, and this is called a rake. These tools come in various shapes and sizes. I find that this one, called a double butterfly, is very useful for most motorcycle locks. It simply interacts very easily with most cylinder wafers and allows it to open. You can use all different kinds of different rakes. One is simply going to be easiest to use in any particular cylinder. You just have to try them out. So in my case, I prefer this one. You might like a different one. Now, all you have to do first is figure out what side the wafers are on, and you just do that by feeling around and pushing gently inside. And you'll feel the wafers on one side or the other. They'll spring back. This particular lock, they're going towards the rear of the bike. I can feel them in there. There's nothing on the top. So what we're going to do is put our tension tool in opposite side the wafers. And in this case, this particular cylinder opens clockwise. So we're going to put it over here. And this will allow us to just tension it like this, as if we're turning the key. So it's not interfering with anything in the lock, it's just trying to turn the cylinder. And we just put, again, this is hard to describe, gentle enough pressure so that it wants to turn, but it's not going to be locking up. And this is just experience. And then we're simply going to use our rake. Some locks will require you to actually rake as if you're trying to scoop something out, and some will require a little more deft touch where you're actually touching each wafer and feeling for a click. In most motorcycle cases, I find that a fairly aggressive raking motion will set them all into place easiest. So we're going to give ourselves a little room, put in the rake tool all the way to the bottom just so it's in the lock. Put our tension tool back in. Add a little tension to it. This is very hard to do just because of the camera angle here. I'll try to flip around. There we go. I'm right-handed. And then we simply feel the wafers. And sometimes I'll bounce just a little bit, just adding or removing a little bit of pressure, not taking all the pressure off the tool, but just varying it. And that helps sometimes just to pop the lock. And once you get the wafers in the correct position, it will spin open. And that's all there is to a freaking motorcycle lock. Like I said, there's a couple little different things to an ignition. I'm not going to show you, but the principle is exactly the same, and it is just as easy. Once you get that feel down, it takes a little bit of practice. Now, I'm going to warn you, if you want to play around doing this, please be very careful. Use a very high quality tool, because, ask me how I know, if you break off a little bit inside that lock, you're going to be removing the lock from your bike and having a real fun time extracting that little bit. So just be warned. But hate to blow anyone's mind and, you know, screw up your delusions of security, but no lock on a motorcycle is secure in the slightest. They are simply there to keep off the very casual thieves. So that's it. Like I said, if you've lost your keys for some reason, if you've locked them in your trunk or underneath your seat and you need to pop your seat off, this is all it takes. That's it, guys. See you next time.